Alrighty, everybody, and welcome to a slightly delayed version of Yard Prep here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am hosting today. It is Louis Sung of the Pulse of Fins Nation show here. I've got Eric Weideke with me. I also have Andy. What's your last name, Andy? I got to give you a proper introduction here.
Andy Romero.
Romero. Okay, Andy Romero. You can find him at Goated Marino on Twitter. And as always, before we dive too far into it, I just want to go ahead and mention once again that our sponsor for this show proudly is the 5 Reasons Sports Network's own prizepicks.com. So prizepicks.com is a revolutionary fantasy platform that has been sponsoring 5 Reasons for the past several years now. We are very glad to have them with us. With them, you can choose up to 2, 3, 4, even 5 different players across professional sports leagues, across college leagues. If you like football, they've got something for that. If you like basketball, they got something for that. I think I've even seen golf and racing. I've seen pretty much every sport known to mankind pop up on Prize Picks every once in a while. So no matter what, you can go ahead and go on there. Just use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit. It's instantaneous. You don't even have to worry about doing any rollovers. You don't have to bet it through all the way. Just sign up, use our promo code 5, that's FIVE. You have to spell out the word, and they will give you up to $100 on your initial deposit to match that money. So you're basically, you put in $100 and they give you an extra $100 free for you to play with. Okay, so prizepicks.com, make sure you don't forget that. All right, so gentlemen, we've got some things going on today. So the Miami Dolphins are back home. We are here in Hard Rock Stadium. The whiteout is officially happening. I don't know, can't remember who officially prompted Tom Garfinkel to go ahead and say, sure, why not? Let's make it a whiteout so that everybody could show up at the stadium all matched up. We'll see how that ends up going, because you know how it is. Like a lot of times Hard Rock Stadium always seems to be filled with fans of other teams. But we're definitely going to be able to see the difference today if everybody goes along with this whole whiteout thing. So with that being said, Cleveland Browns, definitely a talented roster. I'll give them that. There's a lot of names along that line. Myles Garrett, obviously, as a pass rusher. Jadeveon Clowney is on the other end, who is much more of a name that I'd say effective at this point in his career, but definitely still dangerous. You don't want to just like gloss over him like he's a nothing. And so the Miami Dolphins have got themselves, like we've all been wondering, like, is this going to be the trap game? Is this going to be the game where everything falls to pieces? Is this going to be the time where it's like, oh, now we come back to earth? I don't know. It kind of feels like we're just kind of waiting for it to happen. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, we should be able to beat the Cleveland Browns. We're at home. Jacoby Brissett is their quarterback. Their questionable trade has not officially happened yet, simply because he's been suspended all this time. So there's really no reason we shouldn't be able to beat the Cleveland Browns. But then again, I am but one person. I will take it over to you guys, and you tell me, what do you guys think about all this?
Andy?
Oh, yeah, I would agree. This is a very talented roster. You cannot gloss over them. You know, Amari Cooper, they got over there, the 2 talented running backs, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. That's what worries me today in this game, us dealing with the running backs, especially the scat back and Kareem Hunt. You know, the good thing is, like you said, that prize trade that they tried to do earlier in the year is not going to affect us today because we're going against Jacoby Brissett, not against Watson. I'm not too worried about Brissett, but we saw him last year. He's a game manager. So as long as we contain him and don't fall for the play actions, contain the run, it should be a decently easy game to win. We just have to keep our senses in check.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. You know, I said I think this week is a better matchup for the Dolphins than last week against Chicago. And the Dolphins defense, I'm not going to make any excuses for them. They have not been good this year. But to their credit, they're only allowing running backs to rush for 55 yards a game. So if you take out Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields, they've been very strong against the traditional running game this year. It's going to be strength on strength with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt against this Dolphins interior line. This is a game where if the Browns are going to win, I foresee it being a big Jacoby Brissett game because I think the Dolphins are just going to sell out against the run and just beg Cleveland to throw the ball all over them. We know what teams want to do against Miami. You know, Buffalo played that clock management game. Chicago played that clock management game. Teams are trying to keep the ball out of the Dolphins' hands, and the way that you beat that is you win on first and second down and force them to throw in third and long situations. This is a week where I want to see Bradley Chubb really start to make a difference. Jacoby Brissett's a lot less mobile than Justin Fields, so the ends should be able to get there in time this go around. And like I said, I'm still feeling confident overall. The matchup just feels a little bit better.
And from what I understand, the Cleveland Browns are going to be missing some of their weapons. I believe David Njoku is going to be out for this game, and I believe there was one other player, but I can't remember his name at the current moment, that was announced going to be out for this game due to an injury of some kind. I hope Eric can look it up in a minute because I don't have my computer. I am currently running through my phone. But with that being said, this is the kind of what I've been waiting for. The Jacoby Brissett revenge game, I just don't think is going to happen here because, quite frankly, watching Jacoby Brissett last season, again, not impressed. That also could have been just because the offense as a whole was a disaster because we saw what Tua looked like in the so-called Brian Flores / I don't even remember the offense. George Godsey / whoever else was up there. Eric Studsville. He was involved in there. He was an offensive coordinator too, wasn't he? Studsville, Godsey. Who else was in there? It feels like there was definitely too many cooks in the kitchen. That's for sure. But now, I mean, Brissett looks all right. Looks okay. Looks decent. But definitely not somebody that I'm looking at. Oh yeah, we definitely got to watch out for this guy, especially since their main tight end target, who by the way, that's probably one of the biggest issues the Dolphins have, of course, is covering tight ends. He's not going to be there, so it's going to be a backup tight end. Like I said, the running game, the Dolphins have been historically pretty good at that this season. You're not getting past Zach Sealer. You are not getting past Zach Sealer. I'm sorry, you're just not. And so, with that in mind, it feels like that. As long as the defense can just keep Chubb in front of them and make sure that he only gets like maybe 3, maybe 4 yards a carry, then you should be able to just make enough plays to be able to keep the Browns from just running down the field on you. So now here's the thing that we have to think about here. We don't have Brandon Jones anymore, so there will be no safety in the box type deal because if you're going to make Javon Holland have that role, then you're basically counting on the likes of Eric Rowe and other young players to take over in that spot. So it's a very difficult situation for Miami right now. I know that Verone McKinley is going to be, I think he was elevated to the 53-man roster officially, which is good. He's a good young player, but we're going to have to see if he can continue playing to the level that he did play in the previous few games because, again, he's a rookie. You don't know. Kader Kohu's turning out to be fantastic, all things considered. There's a lot of young talent on this team, so we'll see what happens, but I feel like that this is going to be the game where this could be what you can consider a trap. Like this is a game that everybody feels like the Dolphins should win. Like there's no excuse for them not to win. So for them, if they come out and they play well, then I think we can start finally breathing easy and just being like, okay, there is no trap game coming. There is no like, oh, this is the game where everything's going to crash and burn on us and the rest of our season's hopes and dreams are gone.
Let's be real. Dolphins fans are never going to be able to breathe easy. Like let's be real about that. They could be 11-2, and Dolphins fans will still be waiting for it all to fall apart. No, but and just to follow up with the other player that's injured for the Browns, it's going to be Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, one of their better players on defense. So
okay. So what position is he?
He's a linebacker, actually.
Oh, he's a linebacker. Oh, okay. Yeah. So maybe we get some. Is he an outside linebacker? Is like a pass rusher type deal, or is he
more like an inside guy?
Okay, so he's
one of those like hybrid safety linebacker types.
So his job was to keep Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. in check. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and just to follow up with what we had been talking about, Lewis. I'm so sorry, I got sidetracked there. Just to your point on defense, I wonder if because of the fact, like we mentioned, David Njoku being out, if that maybe frees up Eric Rowe to kind of play that in the box role that normally Brandon Jones would have vacated, just because of the fact that there's not a tight end to really be worried about chasing around this time. And that can kind of free up Javon Holland to move around a little bit more.
I would worry a little bit about Harrison Bryant. He hasn't had many opportunities in the NFL, but he was a stud in college in the passing game. As a blocker, not so much, but I would look out for him, especially in the red zone. Obviously not to the level of Njoku.
Yeah, no, I mean, Harrison Bryant's definitely one of the better backup tight ends in the league. But
he is still a backup. That's the thing.
He is still a backup, absolutely. But I think when it comes down to it, the one player on the Browns offense that I think is going to eat today, and I don't think that the Dolphins are going to be able to do anything about it, is going to be Amari Cooper. I do see a big day for Amari Cooper just because of the fact that the Dolphins secondary is not what it was. It's just not. Unless you're going to literally double Cooper, and I don't think they will, because Donovan Peoples-Jones is just good enough that you don't want to, ignore him. I think Amari Cooper is going to be eating in that intermediate 10 to 20 yard range all day long against the Dolphins. That's my one concern. I'm even more concerned about him than I am about Nick Chubb, which feels kind of crazy to say, but it just goes to what the strengths and the weaknesses of this defense is.
So are you concerned that Xavier Howard can't keep up with Cooper?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point where whether it's injuries that are still lingering or rust from missing a good portion, from missing that 1 week, I do have my concerns with Xavier, because I know he's probably playing through bumps and bruises. We're in week 10 now. Every player is. He's just not been the Xavier of old, at least so far this year.
May I present a possibility to you?
Sure.
So Xavier Howard, how often does he get the ball thrown his way?
Not as much as the other corners on the Dolphins.
Not right, exactly. So this is kind of my point here. Last season, when the Dolphins were basically running, you want to call it the Brian Flores defense, whether you want to give Josh Boyer credit for it or not, both Byron Jones and Xavier Howard were on the field the majority of the time. Both of them together in tandem, very important. So, with that in mind, obviously Xavier Howard, between the two of them, who is actually better in coverage? I'm asking a specific question here. Between the two of them, who's better in coverage?
Probably Xavier Howard.
Jones.
I would disagree. Because, listen, here's the thing. Because remember how I asked the question, who's the better guy in coverage? I didn't ask who's the better player. I said, who's better in coverage?
Mm-hmm.
Now, who's the better turnover creator?
I mean, obviously, that's going to be Xavier Howard.
Correct. So, the Xavier Howard of old that we are used to is the guy who turns around and makes incredible interceptions and breaks NFL records. That's the kind of guy that we are used to as far as being a superstar cornerback. Now, because they can't do that anymore, because Byron Jones is no longer over there, now it's Kader Kohou, which, again, we like him a lot. He's playing well, but he's not Byron Jones. He's not Byron Jones. He's not a shutdown corner in the NFL. I'm sorry. He's just not there yet. He could be one day, but he's not there yet. So with that in mind, who are they going to throw the ball at? Are they going to throw it at Xavier Howard 15 times a game because they have no choice? Or are they going to pick on Kader Kohou, Keon Crossan, Noah Igbenogany? Like, who, if you're a quarterback, who would you pick on? It feels like it's an easy target. So with that in mind, if you see the ball thrown Xavier Howard's way, it's probably because he legitimately got beat. Because every corner gets beat, Eric. Like Jalen Ramsey gets beat. There's no one's perfect in the NFL. And so I feel like that we're taking a little things too hard on Xavier Howard, because it's like, oh, well, you're not making all the turnovers and you're getting beat. And like, I mean, how many times do we see him get beat? It's not very often, because when it happens, the only time we see the ball thrown his way is when he does get beat.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from with that. I really do. I do have my very slight disagreements here. And the reason being is Xavier Howard this year, for example, he's been targeted 43 times, allowing a 65% completion percentage and a 129 rating in coverage. Last 2 years, even in coverage, he allowed a 72 quarterback rating in 2021 and a 48 quarterback rating in 2020. So I'm not – listen, I know he has more on his plate than he has had in recent years with no Byron Jones. But the numbers do bear out that he, and I'm not saying that he's lost a step by any means, but just the production that we're accustomed to hasn't been there this year. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so yeah, fine. The production isn't there. That's fine. And I see comments coming in that basically from Lucas that Byron Jones will be traded next year. Personally, I'm not so sure about that. I'm really not, because I feel like that, and this is just my personal theory about everything, and maybe we'll go over it in post game if it comes up too. I feel like it's in Byron Jones' best interest at this point, if he doesn't come back this season, to stick around in Miami, take a pay cut, and be like, let me show everybody as my future team that I can still play. Because right now, what team is going to hang on to what team is going to take Byron Jones on the free agent market for the kind of money that he's going to want? Because he's going to want a big time contract. He's not going to want like a prove it 1 year, $4 million contract to show that Byron Jones is still Byron Jones, you know?
I understand that, but I feel like the market kind of dictates that. Byron Jones can want what he wants on the open market, but if he hits the open market, I feel like those are the kind.
But that's what I'm saying. So, right, but that's what I'm saying. So if that's the case, what's in his best interest? I don't know if you can look it up, Eric, but find out what kind of money he's going to be making next season, just so we can kind of get an idea of what the salary cap hit is going to be for Byron Jones next year.
Should be pretty close to 15 mil, around there. And while he's looking that up, the Amari Cooper versus Xavier Howard matchup has been a pretty good back and forth battle. You know, when Amari Cooper was still in the Raiders, Xavier had his number. Then when he was in Dallas, he got the better of Xavier. So I know both these guys have this marked on their calendar. It's like a little rivalry they have going on. So I hope if you keep Howard as a shadow on Cooper, I like our chances because I'm not too scared of People Jones. I'm not too scared of their other options there. But it's going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, and I'm thinking so too. I don't think it's going to be like this one-sided thing. And and as far as the Byron Jones thing, all I'm going to say, say again?
18.8 is his cap hit for next year.
Okay, so let's say we chop off $8 million of that, and that's a high number to chop off. He's already probably going to be making more than what he would be making on the open market. Because again, he is a player that for all intents and purposes, we assumed he was going to be ready at the beginning of the season. He never came back. Yeah. So what team is going to be like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to invest a ton of money into this guy for a long term? His best interest is to take the Albert Wilson type deal. Let me show you I can still do it. I'll take a pay cut to stick around. And this is just my opinion. I'm not an agent. I don't pretend to be one, but I'm just thinking in terms of, listen, I don't know what kind of trust level I have on the open market right now. I know that I already have a contract here. Let me see if I can wheel and deal a little bit, and maybe I can prove that I can still play for my next team. That's all I'm saying. I think that his best interest is to stay with Miami. That's just me. Now, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball, because we have not even mentioned Tua Tagovailoa's name yet. We're 18 minutes into the show. We haven't said anything about Tua. This Dolphins offense has not put together a superstar type offensive performance at home this season yet being the key word. Is this the game where it finally happens?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we're at a point to where we expect certain things out of this offense. In the 6 games that Tua's played, they're averaging 27.5 points per game. That's good for 3rd in the league. At what point do we just say this is what's expected? We expect the offense to put up about 28 points every single game because it's so machine-like the way that this offense works. Everything is just so fluid, and it goes from the run game to the pass game. It's just a well-oiled machine. And even in Chicago, some of those penalty issues started to clear themselves up a little bit. We didn't even mention that the penalties didn't bite them nearly as much. So I just, looking at the evidence that I have, teams are trying to play ball control against Miami because they're afraid of the Dolphins offense having the ball. I never thought I'd see something like that, in all my years watching the Dolphins. But that's just where we're at. Yeah, I think the offense is finally going to break through today, especially with no Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. As long as they can keep big bad Myles Garrett out of the backfield, I think they'll be fine.
Andy?
Yeah, so for me, this is going to be one of the better secondaries they're going to be facing, even though the Browns are missing Newsome. Denzel Roy is a stud. They'll pick and play. So I'm excited to see what this offense can do at home against the secondary of this caliber. We saw what they did against the Ravens secondary, who was a little banged up, but we still put up 45 points, literally a legendary performance. I think this offense, it's just clicking. Every week you see the gelling more. You see Tua getting more comfortable. The play calling. It's been a perfect unison of talent, of skill, and of play calling between the quarterback, receivers, and coaching. So I think we should put up 28 plus points. I'm really excited about this offensive performance today.
And
especially
I feel like
now with that Eric. Sorry about that. That Eric
no, it's
mentioned the linebacker for Browns, Jeremiah's out. That opens up the game for Wilson off the backfield. Really excited for that too.
okay, good. And just so you know, Andy, if you end up interrupting each other, listen, for me, that's perfectly fine because I always love it when we're able to be spontaneous and we just pop into each other's discussions. I don't know if you've ever seen the back and forths that I've had with guys like Jakari on these shows, and just like he says something crazy and I have to be like, what did you just say? So listen, that's fine. That's what makes the show interesting, in my opinion. So now, Eric, you have access to your computer, I assume. Have you seen did the inactive players come up yet? Have we seen those yet? Because there was a concern that I believe I just saw recently that Teron Armstead is going to quote unquote try to play today through the calf and toe injury. So is there a possibility that Teron Armstead does not play? Because I saw that they elevated Keon Smith to the active roster for today's game, and I honestly kind of got a little sick to my stomach thinking about it because, like, Keon Smith of all players, like, no, thank you, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything about the injury report yet. All I saw is that he's going to try to go. I'm at a point with Teron Armstead where I'm going to believe that he's not playing when I see him officially listed as out, because it feels like he's been like a game time decision every game this week, and every game this year, and he's only missed. I think he only missed 1 or 2 games this year. I'm not sure if it was 2 or 1.
He missed one. I think he only missed like one game, like one full game,
and he was taken out of one early.
Yes. Okay.
My point being, Teron Armstead this year has shown himself to be a gamer. So I think he's going to be out there. Just, I'm not too concerned about it.
And we're going to need him because, again, Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney and whoever else they want to throw in there, they're no joke. We want Tua to continue being Tua. We got to keep it protected because, like with any quarterback, as soon as you get like 5 pass rushers getting at you within 2 seconds of snapping the football, it's generally not a pretty sight. And He is not, and as evasive as he can be in the pocket, he is not like Justin Fields, where he's going to be able to dodge 3 guys and then run for 30 yards down the field, running faster than everybody on the field. That's just not going to happen. So we're going to need Teron Armstead if we're going to make a real playoff push, because I'm sorry, Austin Jackson just doesn't do it for me. He just doesn't. And I don't think he ever will. And neither does Keon Smith. It still baffles me that Keon Smith is on this roster. Like, he was, quite frankly, the worst offensive lineman I watched all of preseason. I don't even know how he managed to stay on the roster. So,
like, Dallas Thomas levels, or not there yet?
Oh, you're asking a hard question now, because I still remember Dallas Thomas. Eric, I still remember Dallas Thomas giving me a heart attack the other day.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I think the key is going to be this game. Again, just try to maintain some level of balance. Like, I know that this offense is predicated on Tua throwing to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, but keep the ball on the ground to a certain extent. Like, I don't want to say force it, but I will say don't give up on it, because Raheem Mostert is still doing really well with the ball. And now we saw what Jeff Wilson can do with the football in his hands. I feel like this running game is just on the cusp of finally being able to do something pretty significant this season. I don't know when the breakout is going to happen, but I feel like it's almost on its way there, because I don't know if it's a lack of respect for Tua. I don't know if it's just they're waiting for the other boot to drop. I don't know if maybe it's just the offensive line not being able to finish the job of blocking that doesn't let the running backs get to the second level. But eventually they're going to try to do everything they can to stop Tua from throwing the football, and that's just going to open up the running game. It doesn't work like in the sense that you can shut down both at once. If Tua's burning you over and over and over and over again every single week, and other defenses and other teams have to be watching this and saying, we've got to find a way to stop this from happening over and over again. Like, you have to close up some side of the field. You have to make it so that somebody's not going to be wide open every single time. And if that means you're going to have to go into quarters defense and make it so that the entire secondary is back there, well, then, yeah, eventually you're going to be able to run the football. So I don't know when that's going to happen.
So I want to pose a question to everybody here, because especially with the news of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah being out, he's kind of like he's a Swiss Army knife. He's their tight end guy. You know, he's the guy they throw on a tight end and they want to lock him up with Koramoah. Are we in for another Mike Gesicki boom game?
Where was the first one?
He had 6 for 68 and 2 scores.
Is this all season?
No. Gesicki's been good like 2 of the last 3 weeks. Come on now.
Bro, listen. I picked the over on Prize Picks for Gesicki catching over 2 passes. He caught 1. Where was the good game that you're referring to? He's caught 2 touchdowns all year. Listen, every time somebody predicts a Mike Gesicki breakout game, I know for a fact that he's not going to do anything, because that's just how it works. That's just how it is with Mike Gesicki. Did you have something you wanted to say, Andy?
Although I agree with you, Gesicki, he's had his sporadic moments. If Cleveland decides to focus on our 2-star receivers, and it's Deion Jones on Gesicki, I like our chances there. But it just depends on what the defense wants to focus on. I think they're going to be focused on the receivers, so our run game and our tight ends should be open. So let's see what happens there.
I don't know. I guess I'm just not buying it. I don't think Gesicki's going to. Gesicki's not. 2 times. We've been predicting a Gesicki breakout game, feels like most of the season.
He's had 3 good games this year. 3.
That's not a breakout game for me, man. A breakout game for me is like 5 catches, 80-something yards, a touchdown. That's a breakout game for me for Gesicki at this point this year. So,
no, you're
getting Baltimore. For some reason, I remember he did great against Baltimore. I gotta check that out. What he did against them.
It was he made the one crazy catch in Baltimore.
Yes, that was a fantastic. That was a fantastic play. A fantastic play.
Damn,
so if you want to call that
4 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown is probably where I would say, and that's a legitimately good game for any tight end.
A good game, right?
Yeah,
good game. Okay, that's fine.
For Gesicki, that is a breakout.
Okay.
No, that's not a breakout for Gesicki. He's had way better games than that. This year, you can focus on it. Oh, this year, yeah. I see what Lewis is saying, because for some reason I imagine him doing better than what he's actually doing. He literally had 3 yards last week. Like, I see the pain. I understand.
So that's all I'm saying. Like, every time we predict a breakout game, he does nothing. I mean, let me rephrase. He doesn't do nothing, as Chris Kaufman has pointed out on 3 yards per carry multiple times. Gesicki forces defenses to pay attention to him, which opens it up a little bit more for Tyreek and Waddle. So I'll give him credit for that. He's an awesome distraction. How about that? He's an awesome distraction.
Sure. Now let's flip it around on defense. Is there a particular player that we're not focused on the defensive side of the ball for the Dolphins that we think could make a big difference today?
Anybody who goes in the interior defensive line, Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, those guys are key. Those guys are key every single week, and I feel like we kind of ignore them because we want to hear about Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips getting around the edge to get sacks. I'm convinced at this point that defensive interior pressure is more important than edge pressure. I really believe that at this point, because it seems like whenever an edge rusher gets around, quarterback has a room to step up and disappear into the secondary. When it's interior pressure, suddenly you have to run to the sides, and there's a cornerback that could see you, and he could take you down from that direction. It's a lot harder to get away that way, at least in my opinion. So Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer plugging up those holes in the middle, they're going to be crucial. They really, really are. Because even though we talk about how Jacoby Brissett is less mobile, which is true, let's not act like Jacoby Brissett doesn't run. In New England, that's what he did a lot when he was still with the Patriots. He ran a lot. So not that I would call him a particularly special running quarterback, but he runs. He's not afraid to run.
I really need Jerome Baker to not get beat. I need him to not get matched up with Kareem Hunt one-on-one, because I know how that's going to end up. Stop putting Jerome Baker on running backs. Let him do his thing. That is not his thing. That's what I want to see today.
We'll see. So,
and as far as
No, go ahead.
How about a Landon Roberts today? And I know. but you and I both, Landon Roberts is good for at least one or two clutch fourth and short or third and short stops a year.
I don't know who you were talking to because I think Landon Roberts gets crapped on too much.
I think he's going to pick the right gaps a handful of times today. When he picks the right gaps and when he's disciplined, he's fantastic against the run. Problem is he doesn't pick the right gaps all the time, and he's not the most disciplined player in the world. But against a run-heavy team like Cleveland, I can see Landon Roberts having a big impact on today's game.
Yeah, I don't know what you were saying. I know. I'm like, what are we talking about here? Who are you talking to? I think Landon Roberts is better than he's given credit for, but I digress.
Fair enough.
With that being said, yeah, Landon Roberts could be key for this game. If he can get through the gap and take down Chubb or Hunt early on, then that'd be great. So we're already 30 minutes into this show. I think it's about time we start bringing this to a close. So let's do our predictions for this. Andy, I'll let you go first. What's your predictions and how's this all going to go down?
Well, I'm feeling 31-21. I think that we're going to give up just one boneheaded play on defense where the defense doesn't communicate. But besides that, I feel it's going to be contained. All you got to do, contain the run and allow Brissett to beat you. And don't let him beat you. At the end of the day, don't bite at those play actions too hard and leave X shadow on Cooper. If you shut down Cooper, you shut down the running game, it's easy pickings.
Eric?
Yeah, I think Cleveland's going to try to control the game on the ground. They're probably going to hold the ball a little bit longer than Miami has it. So I could see this game ending 27-16.
All right. Me personally, I'm done picking low defensive scoring games. I'm done making predictions that show that the game is going to be low scoring. Nope. I'm going all in, high scoring, 38-31 type of game in favor of Miami because I feel like this could end up being another shootout. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of faith in the defense to stop the passing game. That's just my personal opinion. But who knows? Maybe this is the game that they prove me wrong, and hopefully this is the game where Tua can put on a masterful performance for all the fans watching at home. That's my hope. I did see one comment that I wanted to address in the chat regarding what happened to the rookie linebacker. That is referring to Channing Tindall. The answer to your question of what happened to him, he was attempting to be the spy last week against Justin Fields, but he was out of position so often and biting on the wrong things that it didn't work out so good. He's still got a lot to learn, ladies and gentlemen. He's not replacing Jerome Baker anytime soon, so sorry to anybody who is hoping he would. So it's going to take some time. Anyway, any final thoughts before we call it a close here?
I keep picking these 10+ point wins. It's going to happen at some point. I'm going to be right one of these weeks. I'm hoping it's this week.
No, I hope so too, because I don't think I can handle another heart attack game. I really can't.
They're fun though. They keep you on your toes.
No, they're not fun. I'm losing years of my life watching these Dolphins go into the final seconds. I swear. Like I cannot right now. Anyway. All right, that's going to be it for us here at the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Make sure you stay tuned in because we will have some awesome guests on the Miami Dolphins post-game show, Final Yard on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Make sure you're tuned in here. And, of course, we also have Prize Picks content over there as well, so make sure that you are keeping an eye out for that because we are going to be helping you get on your Prize Picks. Again, they are the sponsor for the 5 Reasons Sports Network's Miami Dolphins content. If you were looking for anything like above maybe Tua Tagovailoa over 250 yards, I haven't gotten a chance to see the props yet. I'm actually going to go and make my picks right now.
Jeff Wilson over 1.5 receptions.
Over 1.5. Oh, just 2 catches for Jeff Wilson. Oh yeah, that's an easy over. Oh, by the way, for Tyreek Hill, however many receptions they have him getting, just pick the over on that. Okay, that's an easy one. It always is going to be an easy one. I don't think he's hit the over every single week that he has been a member of the Miami Dolphins. So that's another easy one. How about how many touchdown passes? How many touchdown passes for Tua do they have there?
Let me see here.
All I know is that Lewis, you got to try one more time. Gesicki over on catches. He got you.
How many? Well, how many catches?
It's probably 1.5 or something wild like that, bro.
That's what it was last week.
Yeah, after a 1-catch performance, I don't think they're gonna make it 2.5.
Tua's actually not on the board.
Tua's not on the board.
Not that I'm seeing.
He has to be. There's no way he's not on there.
He's not on the board.
They know
right
that they
now.
know the overs are too easy to hit, so they just
They don't trust it. They don't want to give anybody any more money. That's wild. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out for it anyway. Maybe they're readjusting the prop because they're realizing, oh, wait a minute, Tua is actually better than what we're giving him credit. Everybody's changing their mind on Tua Tagovailoa now, folks. They don't have a choice. All right, that's going to be it for us. PrizePicks.com. Use the promo code 5, FIVE. They will match up to $100 on your initial deposit. Just go over there. Get on it right now. We've got plenty of picks for you. We've got advice for you on the 5 Reasons Sports Network that you can check it out. David Eversole is there. I know Ethan is always there. Make sure you're checking it out. And with all that being said, for Andy Romero and Eric Weideke and myself, make sure that you stay after the game for Final Yard here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I will see you all later.
Later.